evening, Damen und Herren. Actually, I don't think this is really German anymore. It doesn't matter. I'm just being a fool. Welcome back to another episode of the Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. This has been a good movie, weekends for movies, really. We had Predator Badlands, which that spoiler-free review is out, so check that out when you get the chance if you haven't already. And Netflix, okay, given that Netflix churns out a lot of crap, if I'm just gonna put it plainly, there's the whole phrase like not everything's for everyone, I guess, or there's something for everyone out there, but a good majority I feel like of Netflix's stuff is just meh. Definitely better series, but when it comes to movies, it's like no. However, this is one of those strong wins that I am proud to say came from Netflix. But it's also a double-edged sword because I want this to be in theaters. But anyways, one of the best directors out there, of any of our generation, any generation really, for God knows how long, Guillermo del Toro's version of Frankenstein, starring Oscar Isaac, Mia Goth, and Jacob Elordi. I think I'm saying is that name right. Who is, if you guys don't know that name off the top of your head, he is Nate Jacobs from Euphoria, and he was in that Ana de Armas movie, something with water. I don't remember. I never saw that one. But anyways, this is...
What was it, Saltburn, that came out a couple years ago?
Yeah, Saltburn. Good call on that one, Burn. It's hard to believe it's already came out like 2 years ago. And this is a spoiler-free review, even though it's on streaming, because this is one of those movies we definitely want you guys to watch. So, if you haven't seen it yet, feel free to stay. We're not going to ruin it for you. But for those of you who did happen to see it, you like horror, or you just like watching me and Burn here and there, feel free to give us that thumbs up to show your support, ring the bell for notifications, and of course subscribe. Thank you again for everyone doing that. So Frankenstein is literally just a timeless tale of someone playing God and then asking the question, who is really the monster, the one that was created, or one that created it? And I think this is one of the strongest movies to really depict that idea. I don't want to get too much into the story because it could definitely kind of spoil it. It's actually kind of a twist how they go about it. But Oscar Isaac and Jacob Elordi, man, they helmed this movie so well, where Oscar Isaac was Victor Frankenstein. Sorry, I want to say that because every time I've been rewatching Young Frankenstein lately, and it's just, this movie reminded me of that, but in the best ways. Victor Frankenstein, he is a troubled, very eccentric scientist, and Oscar Isaac, man, this is definitely one of his strongest roles yet, and very much like Ex Machina, but more along the lines of, I can't think of like an old character he's played, but it's very similar to Ex Machina, but very much his own, very classical time period character. And this is the first role that kind of took me out of Jacob Elordi being Nate Jacobs and that sociopath. So great acting all around. Easily one of the best, most beautiful looking movies I've seen all year. Just can't praise it enough. But Burn, what did you think about this movie? Because given we're both Guillermo del Toro fans, he's my boy. He made Hellboy, Pan's Labyrinth, Crimson Peak, Pacific Rim, the first one, not the second one, and Pinocchio from 2021, which is just, I can't rewatch that. That makes me cry. But anyways, Burn, what did you think about this one? And how was Guillermo del Toro's take on Frankenstein, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, this was one that I was very much looking forward to this year, because it's one of those things where it feels like the story and the director, it feels like a perfect marriage. Because in a way, sort of, Guillermo del Toro has been making Frankenstein for his whole career. He has that sort of look at the monsters in his movies that, they're not really the monsters, right? They're just these misunderstood creatures, and it's either someone or everyone around them that forces them to do what it is they do, and they're the real monsters, right? It's society, it's mankind, it's Michael Shannon in Pan's Labyrinth. It's not the creature itself that is not Pan's Labyrinth, sorry,
Shape of Water.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Fred, keep going.
But he's had that sort of trope in his movies where the sympathetic character in the movie is the creature for the most part. So, in a way, like I said, he's been making Frankenstein his whole career, and it's cool to finally see that this is, you know, this has been a dream project of his for a while, and again, in a way, he's been making this movie his entire career. But for him to finally do it, it feels just kind of like, man, this is kind of what it's all been leading to, in a sense. So in that sense, it's like, oh, okay, it's really cool to like see it finally play out, like his version of Frankenstein. I feel like if anyone's looking for a more faithful adaptation of Mary Shelley's book, you really won't get that here. This is more along the lines of his adaptation of Pinocchio, where it really takes it's his own twist, his own look at that character, and takes a lot of different creative liberties there. So I know that like fans who are very 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 passionate about the source material may not enjoy it as much in that sense of it being an adaptation. But if you're looking for Guillermo del Toro's version of it, this is the best thing you could have probably gotten. I mean, it's all there. Like you said, it's one of the most beautiful movies I've seen this year. From the set designs to the costumes, the art direction, just it's all so gothic, and it's a very much Guillermo in that sense. It's like him and Tim Burton. You can just look at a screenshot of a movie and be like, oh, that's from this director, and it's very apparent here, and all of that. It's just gorgeous to look at, and the composition by Alexander Desplat is just so good there too. But really, the highlights of this movie are the two roles that you highlighted. I think Oscar Isaac did a fantastic job as Dr. Frankenstein, and really adds a lot of very unlikable dimensions to the character. And I usually like Oscar Isaac and everything he's in, but yes, the comparison to his character in Ex Machina is perfect, where you just have this very troubled individual who's brilliant, and sort of how that sort of infects his work, and how he just can't how he can't empathize with anyone else, and how that sort of gets passed along down to the Frankenstein's monster, who Jacob Elordi, man, I think this is probably one of the best performances this year. I don't know how things are going to play out come Oscar season, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets any sort of like recognition, because this is such a physical performance and so different from anything that I've seen him in. There's something just so weirdly ethereal and very sad about his depiction of Frankenstein, where the movements of his body are so calculated, and it's very uncanny valley. I think if anyone's looking for that sort of more Universal Pictures Frankenstein, this is definitely not that. I think this is much more from what I've seen, it's much more faithful to the actual novel itself, with of course the Del Toro spin on it. But if you're looking for Universal Pictures Frankenstein, this is not it. This is something more along the lines of the engineers from Prometheus, where there's something very uncanny valley about it, but there's humanity, there's a sadness, there's a loneliness to the character that's just depicted so beautifully by Elordi. It's a real job well done, and that extends to the other side characters. You know, Christoph Waltz, Mia Goth, they all do really good, but I think the negative for me in this movie is that they just feel sort of on the wayside. They feel a little bit shortchanged, and the way the movie that is structured in sort of this very point of view perspective, I can understand why that happened, but I would have liked to get a little bit more from the other characters in this movie. But this is really a two-hander with Oscar Isaac and Jacob Elordi, and they do a really, really good job, so it's hard to be mad at everything else.
Yeah, that's very fair. I mean, not only your take on Guillermo's movies, but that does make sense how the monsters usually in the movies he's done are usually more sympathetic. The only thing that's kind of the flip side of that was Cabinet of Curiosities, but even then, that one's still along the lines of like humans are the cause of their own like damnation and their own downfall in a way. So I forgot he did that show, and I really liked that one last year. Or was that 2 years ago? I don't remember. But yeah, and I do agree with you on your critique of like the side characters literally just being side characters because they don't contribute a whole lot to the story. But at the same time, I didn't really notice it or care for that aspect too much because Oscar Isaac and Jacob Elordi stole it for me. So, but yeah, the costume design, production design, the makeup on Jacob Elordi as the creature himself is just amazing. I really can't praise that enough. That is my favorite part of this entire film, that like a Tim Burton movie or especially a live action one, you really get sucked into this world and you really just feel it coming alive when you watch it. So, again, I wish we got the theater experience for it, but so unfortunately we'll just have to settle for TV and streaming. But with all that being said, I'm giving this also a hard 4 out of 5. It is a little long though, so it's about 2.5 hours. So just brace yourselves for those of you who maybe have issues with that. But great movie. But the benefit is it's streaming, so you can pause at any time and pick up later. But highly recommend this one, especially for those Netflix subscribers. But yeah, definitely one of the best movies of the year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this doesn't have a true theatrical run is really a disappointment. And it's, again, one of those things that continues to frustrate me with all these really great directors working with Netflix and still not getting that sort of theatrical run, unfortunately. It feels like such a disservice for something like this to be only available to a lot of people on the small screen because, like we've both said, the visuals here are just absolutely fantastic. And it feels like the streamingness of it is a real detraction and really kind of undercuts the artistry that we see here. So that is unfortunate. But besides all that, it is going to be a hard 4 out of 5 for me too. Just a beautiful movie to look at, a beautiful movie in terms of the thematics, the characters, really all well done here. So I can't praise it enough on that. And I think Guillermo del Toro is still one of the best working directors today, and I'm very much looking forward to anything he does. This one's no different. Frankenstein was such a really cool experience and a fun take on the sort of Frankenstein story. Even though, in a sense, like, you know, we've kind of gotten this story from him, it kind of leans into that sort of Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2 thing where it's like, you know, these tropes we've seen before, but it in the package that it's in, it's just so delicious to look at. It's like it's hard to ignore. So yeah, I can't recommend this enough. If you have a Netflix subscription, you owe it to yourself to check this one out.
Yeah, it works both as a horror movie and then the upcoming winter season, just because it's, you know, the visuals are very dark and cold, and gothic is definitely the biggest theme for this one. So yeah, hard 4 out of 5 for me and Burn. So for those of you Netflix subscribers, get to watching it. You're definitely not going to be disappointed for the most part. For those of you who did happen to watch it, feel free to let us know in the comments what you thought about. What was your favorite part of the movie, your favorite scene, or without spoiling too much. But until next time, everyone, we got Running Man coming out, Keeper, and all that stuff. So stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch you all on the next one.